Hello and welcome to Cycling Radsport on Cyclisme. And today we have got the youth junior sensation that is Cat Ferguson. We get to talk about how her season's been, how she ended up on the books at Movistar, and just the world situation, how she carried on after throwing up during the Worlds. I think that's mad. Like, just if that was me, I would not be riding. But she's a cyclist. They're made of sterner stuff than I am. But have a listen, see what you reckon. And yeah, this is one of many junior riders that we've had on. And it's really great to see the future of cycling coming through. They're truly a talented bunch. Hi, thanks for
Hi.
joining me. How are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gladly. Yeah, it's an easy start, and I say this every time I ask this
Mhm.
question, but like, how did you even get into cycling? Was it something that runs in the family, or just you saw it and you're like, oh, I want to be doing that?
Yeah, so I'd say probably my parents were quite a big influence. My dad just sort of did mountain biking for fun. And then when I was younger, we used to go on quite a few ski holidays, just because our parents are, quite into the outdoors. And I sort of just picked up skiing, became quite good at it at quite a young age, and then started going to like my local ski club. So just like skiing on plastic.
Oh,
Um,
the sort of dry ski slopes, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I did that for a couple of years, and sort of to help with that, I would do a little bit of cycling, um, to train for skiing, and then I joined a little club nearby, and I just think I started to prefer cycling really, probably just because I had more friends there, and yeah, so that's when I decided to then swap to cycling.
Wow. So in another life, you could have been just skiing down like I can't even name it. Oh, Dave Riding. I wanted to name someone,
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm like,
yeah.
actually don't know that many famous skiers. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like, does that mean then that you find it easy descending because like skiing's all about the downhill and going fast?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's funny actually. When one of my cyclocross coaches, we were just sessioning this like corner once, and he said he knew that I was a skier, but he could tell that I was a skier, sort of from the way, like the position of my hips, and when I went on this corner, almost like it was like the slalom ski posts. So yeah, I think definitely it helps.
Yeah, I bet. So at what point did you go, okay, like I like cycling, and now I think this could be a career for me?
Sort of separate them two. So
Mm.
I say I started to like cycling at maybe 13, 14. After my parents had stopped like dragging me around on tag along, and I'd just get sprayed with mud, and I hated that. Didn't like that at all. So when I started on the road, started racing probably like nationals at about 13, 14. So my first season was like 2019,
Oh, wow.
and I really enjoyed that. Like I said, that was one of my most enjoyable like years of my life probably. Just went to all the nationals with my friends, and yeah, I'd say that's when I really started to like it. And then sort of when I noticed it, maybe like I'm quite good at this, it could be a potential career, was maybe I'd say this year, first year junior,
Wow.
um, when I won a Nations Cup early in the year.
Yeah, was I want to say Binder?
Yeah, Binder, so it was the first Nations Cup.
Yeah, that's kind of wild as well because like for me, when I look at your results and like you've done cyclocross and got like decent placings in elite fields, last year. So when you're like first year junior of cyclocross season, I'm like, but for it to finally click this year in the Nations Cup kind of feels wild to me then because I'm like, you're already picking up placings, you're already like showing that promise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also like, I don't know why, like when I look back at that result, I'm like, it almost feels like a foregone conclusion. Like, I don't know whether that's just because you've had so many other wins this year and, like you're an incredible sprinter, like winning, if you're not winning overalls, you're winning points jerseys and and youth jerseys and always up there. Like, so yeah, does that ever happen where you're ridden against almost? Because like everyone knows you're an incredible sprinter now. You know, you can't win Binder without being a good sprinter. You can't win like Flanders, obviously, is a select group, but still you had to outsprint that field. Even at like Lincoln GP, you came what your best of the sort of the next group really, because there's a group of five got away and you won the sprint for the rest of the placings. So yeah, long story short, like do people ride against you and go, oh, she's got a hell of a kick. We can't drag her to the line.
I'd say that's an interesting one. I wouldn't have said at the start of this year that I was a sprinter. I would have probably said I'm more of a climber.
Okay.
But this year, I think definitely it's sort of changed, and I've sort of become a lot better at sprinting. So I'd say definitely towards the end of the year, say at Worlds, for example, I think it was maybe a little bit clear that some people they didn't want to be in the sprint with me at the end. They wanted to get away from me because there was a lot of tacks like on the last lap and things like that. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely something that this year I've really improved on, and it's such a useful skill to have really, because it means if it is a bunch, you know, you have a hope of winning. You don't have to be on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's kind of yeah, it does help having that sprint in your kind of in your back pocket, knowing like if I'm with anyone, I can beat them. But you kind of, I guess, you're strong enough to win solo if needs be. Um, and yeah, how do you think this season's actually gone? Is it something that you look at results and go, oh yeah, I've had really good results, or do you look at performances? Because like alongside, you know, all the things I've already mentioned, you had a second at Otley GP, which, you know, it is a very fast crit. And actually, yeah, are juniors still restricted? Because that wouldn't make a difference because that's a downhill sprint, if I'm right. Um,
Yeah, juniors aren't restricted anymore. It changed this
oh,
year.
how are you finding that? Because obviously you will have been. And yeah, actually go into a different question, how did you find the step up from youth A to junior?
Yeah. So obviously I've never experienced juniors being on restricted gears because it's my first year junior. But last year, obviously I was on restricted gears in youth. And I'd say for me, I've really enjoyed stepping up to junior in terms of everything really, the training, the racing, everything's just longer hours, which I prefer. So, you know, I like training, so if I can increase my training weeks from 10 hours to 15, then I'll be happy. So I'd say the junior category is, yeah, is I really enjoy it.
Oh, that's good. And yeah, to go back to my earlier question, and like, how do you look back on this year and go, oh yeah, I've been really successful? And how do you personally measure success?
Yeah. So I'd say this year's been a bit of a shock, really. I'd say I measured success by sort of my goals. I always set season goals at the start of the year of how I want to do, whether that's performance wise or results. And this year I've definitely surpassed my goals. I didn't expect to say come second at Worlds or win a Nations Cup. So yeah, I can be really happy with my season, but also a little bit frustrated. Probably towards the end, at Worlds, probably we didn't go there to come second. We went there to win. So I I wouldn't have expected to go into Worlds with that goal at the start of the year. But as the season went along, and I realised that I could potentially be in the running to win.
Mm.
It's a little bit disappointing now that I came second, but second is obviously still amazing.
Yeah, and on the worlds, like, how was it to have a home worlds? I assume you've not actually experienced one yet. By, you know, being a youth, it's not really something you've had too often.
Yeah, it was incredible. Obviously, I've never been to a major champs before because it's my first junior season. But last year I went to European Youth Olympics, which was in
Mm.
Slovakia, and there was crowds there. They're amazing, but comparing that to the crowds in Glasgow was, yeah, something else. It was incredible.
Yeah, and how did it feel going in? Like, because as you said, like you went in thinking, oh, I could get a good result here, racing for the win. And GB have had the last two junior wins. Um, it's a home world. They've got one of the best sprinters in the junior ranks. Like, does that add a lot of pressure to you, or do you thrive off that pressure?
Yeah, I'd say there was definitely quite a lot of pressure going in to the race, but I think pressure is good and it's bad. I'm still sort of learning to cope with it a little bit. But I think, it gives you adrenaline. It pushes you on. You're not going to give up if, all the crowd are from the UK and you're from the UK cheering you on. So I think it definitely helps you. Um, and I think I dealt with it well. I just think it wasn't to be at Worlds, Road Worlds. Julie Baker, who won, she was the strongest on that day and she got her tactics amazing. So credits to her.
Yeah, yeah, it looked incredible, and obviously, yeah, a heck of a race from yourselves though to still get second. It's like, I'd love to be able to say I'm the second best in the world, even categorized, like to go, yeah, I'm not the absolute best, but I'm still second best. Like that's incredible. Um, and how does that feel like having the whole team ride for you? I assume they were like, actually, yeah, was that decided on the day, like on the morning, or just on the road?
So normally with GB, we would go in a plan with having maybe one or two leaders,
Hmm.
and our coach Emma Trott would make that clear before the race. So at Worlds, we were riding for myself and Owen
Hmm.
Roberts. Um, so kind of leaving it to me if it came to a sprint, but also letting Owen have all the sort of like attacks, hopefully getting her in the break. But yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for my teammates because without them, especially in a sprint as well, they have to just give up their result really for myself, and there's nothing to show for them, and especially in juniors when there's almost such a big pressure on getting teams and things when you're having to give up your result for someone else. Um, it's difficult. Um, I'm sure they're all so strong that their time will come, and I'm ready to work for them when I need to.
Yeah, is it made easier by the fact that you've got former guest Imogen as one of your friends, a trade teammate as well, if you can call them trade teams, but you know what I mean. Um, you know, does that make it easier to ride for each other, or does that make it almost harder going like I'm profiting off my friends giving like sacrificing for themselves?
Yeah, it's difficult. But I'd say being so close to Imogen, it helps that if I'm doing something wrong, if she's doing something wrong, we'll just tell each other. Like we won't just we'll just be honest. And I think that's important. And I think this year I've sort of grown to that with all the other girls on my team.
Hmm.
And I think it's yeah, it's so useful when you can just tell someone what was good, what was bad, and each race improve on that.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, how do you find it being a leader? Like, especially as a first year junior, I don't know whether that makes a huge difference. Um, but yeah, does it make a difference for you when you're like, oh, I've got to lead these people who they've been racing, like Izzy Sharp's been racing as a junior already last year and is signed for Little Track. Like you've got people like her and you're like, oh, I've got to lead you. Like, does that come easily to you? Is that something that you cope well with?
I wouldn't say I've had to lead Izzy yet. Normally, if she's in a race, it's both of us maybe.
Fair.
Um, but yeah, it obviously feels amazing because they're willing to help you, but also it is a little bit of pressure just because you don't want to mess it up when they are committing themselves to you. Because then it's almost a waste of results on both ends. So can be a little bit scary, but I am obviously so grateful to them.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that originally you feel like more of a climber, and this year's shown you've got a sprint. Like, is that something you're wanting to develop further and sort of pigeonhole yourself as a sprinter, or are you looking to keep developing your climbing? Like, I guess where are you hoping to develop is kind of a question, especially because you're junior time trial champion as well for Britain. Like, you've got that in your arsenal as well.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure. I'll just sort of see where it takes me. I don't want to, force anything. I'd say with my sprinting this year, it's sort of been evident that in a reduced bunch, I can sort of handle that and probably can win. But in a bigger bunch, I'm probably still not the best. Like I still have space to work on that.
Okay.
Um, but in terms of my climbing, yeah, I'm not obviously not the best climber, but if I can get over the climbs, then it's likely that I will beat them in the sprint maybe. And time trialing is also something that I'm working on. I went to TT Worlds and it didn't go to plan this year, but nationals went really well. So it's sort of hit and miss with time trial, but I'm
Mm.
trying to work on it and a lot with my positioning as well.
So, what was it that didn't go to plan? If I can ask, like, to me, it looked like a great result, but yeah, like, what didn't go to plan for you?
I'm not sure to be honest. I think it was just sort of my legs on the day. I came 10th and it's not an awful result, but it's not the result I wanted. Um, I felt very nervous going into that race, to be honest. I find that with time trials, like you have to go from the gun. The same with cyclocross. It's not like a road race where you neutralize for 2 kilometers. You have to go straight away, and it's almost like with a time trial, you either have the legs or you don't. So it's a weird thing to be nervous for, but I always get very nervous for them. And then about halfway through my time trial, I was actually sick on my arm.
Oh,
Um, and I think it was like a combination of the gels I'd had before, and it was just, yeah. After that, my legs just felt empty, and I was sort of just siphoning through like water to the finish.
yeah, I had no idea, and like, I know if I was thrown off on the time trial, I'd just be like, I'll uh, I'll get in the car then, or just just pack it in. So, props to
Yeah,
you for finishing. Like,
thank you.
yeah, there's actually a question I thought of a minute ago. I was kind of curious of, like, you say like you're good in a reduced bunch, but not in the mass sprint. Obviously you do see it with riders on the professional circuit, like a rider like Matteo Trentin is famously amazing at smaller group sprints, but you never see him in a big bunch. And just curious, like, what the difference is, because to me, like, a sprint is a sprint, and you know, it maybe it's the out and out fast people, but typically at juniors, if you're a fast sprinter, you usually powerful enough to get round most courses anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm just curious what the difference is really, and why you think you're not quite there for bunch and you are for reduced bunch.
Yeah, I'd say it probably comes down to like positioning in the bunch. Um, Sort of stepping up to juniors. One massive change from youth is just the peloton, the size of them. Like we go from racing 50 girls to racing 150 girls.
Okay.
So, and everyone wants to be at the front. So, sort of when you're sprinting in a mass bunch, I'm still finding it difficult. I'm getting pushed around a bit, and I'm also getting pushed around a little bit throughout the whole race. But when it comes down to a reduced sprint, I'd say maybe I'm better at that just because I'm more used to the smaller bunch racing in the UK last year. But I mean, I haven't been doing awful in like big bunches. Became third in a couple of sprints, like the big bunch sprints.
Hmm.
So I can do them. It's coming, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I've always wondered about that because it's like, to me, sprinting. Like,
Yeah.
objectively, there shouldn't be a difference, but clearly there is, and there's levels to it, and that's incredible insight. So thank you. Um, so what are the, I guess, plans for the off season? Well, I say off season. I assume you're going to be doing cyclocross, so it's not really an off season. But yeah, what are your upcoming plans?
Yeah, so I've already had my like off season, my 2 weeks off. I spent a lot of time with Imogen actually. And then this winter, obviously, I'll be focusing on cyclocross.
Mm.
Um, second year junior in that now, so quite a big focus this winter on it. I'm going to be doing all the World Cups and hopefully Euros and Worlds if I'm selected. So lots of big races and a bit of a step up from last year because I only did 2 World Cups last year and Euros and Worlds. But yeah, I'm really excited to just be spending most of my winter in Belgium. To be fair, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's going to be incredible. Especially like the Christmas season is
Mhm.
great, and like, is it 1st of November? I hope I've got the date right. Like, it is always Koppenberg Cross, like iconic
Yeah.
race, and for some reason Brits always do well there. I don't know, like no pressure, but like every time I've watched Koppenberg, I'm like the Brits are doing well. Like, Ian Field led that one for a while. Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
Actually, yeah, like where did cyclocross enter for you? Was that something you, because we've talked a lot about the road and not so much about any passions for cyclocross. Like, where did that come into things?
Yeah, so quickly before that, I'm not actually doing Coppenberg this year. I've done it for the past 2 years, but this year I'm not, which is sad.
Ah,
But I'm doing Euros, which is about 3 days after
fair.
that, so in France. Yeah, I'd say cross came in, but in about 2019, 2020, just before COVID. And I say I'd sort of got into it, just doing road with my friends all that season, and then one of the girls that I was spending a lot of time with did cross and said how fun it was and stuff. So that cross season, we bought 2 cross bikes, like we went all in, and I did all the nationals and things. And yeah, I loved it. It was a bit of like a baptism of fire. I had to learn a lot very quickly, but it was very fun.
Oh wow. Um, yeah, gutting that you're not going to be at Koppenberg. Just it is one of my favorite ones to watch, but obviously Euros take precedence. I don't even know where Euros are. I probably should know that. I know Worlds are in Tabor, but I don't know about.
Yeah, they're in France called Pont Chateau. I think I probably pronounced that
Oh,
wrong, but
okay.
it's like sort of West France, Brittany, sort of Normandy area. So I've never raced there. But yeah, I'll have to watch some videos of the past races there to just look at the course.
Yeah, of course. That's going to be huge. Like, obviously, if you're selected, but I I would assume you would be. Um, just have to see, I guess. Um, and then thinking even further forward, there was the news recently about you signing for Movistar. Like, how did that come about? Firstly, yeah, let's just start with that. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so after I'd done, I think it was after I won Flanders, my manager sort of said that Movistar have, been in touch with me. They'd like to chat to you. So I had a Zoom call with them, and yeah, I loved it. The sort of director, Seb, was so welcoming just on the first call, and that's sort of where it started. Um, and just yeah, kicked off from there really.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, were they the only team who got in touch with your management, or were there others really?
No, there was a couple of others that I had some chats with and stuff, but yeah, same Movistar stuck out for me definitely.
Really, gosh. And obviously you mentioned your management. That's 258, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Which is AJ or Anthony Joshua's promotion, which
yeah.
I think, yeah, there's a couple of cyclists under the banner, which I
Mhm.
think is really cool, and really good to see. Do you find that helps having management? And what do they really help with?
Definitely. Jamie, who runs 258, is so helpful from anything really. Like he'll help me with getting a sport psychologist to get my bikes off Movistar, or even organizing some races for me later in the season. Like he wanted me to do the chrono time trial and
Mm,
things like that. Just literally anything he will help me with. I also went to watch AJ, got me tickets to go watch AJ box as well. So yeah.
wow. Yeah, 'cause honestly, I didn't expect them to go to that sort of level almost.
Hmm.
of the sort of organising races. 'Cause that to me implies a very strong cycling knowledge, and
Hmm.
to me, like I see the name and I'm like, that's a boxing company, like at its
Yeah.
heart. So to have that cycling knowledge is really good to see. Um, and obviously, yeah, you said you had the chats with Movistar. How did was it? I know you said it stuck out. Was it an easy decision to go, oh yeah, I'll sign for them, or was it quite I guess what steps were involved as well? Did you have to go out and see them? Like, how did that all develop?
I'd say it was quite a quick decision. Sort of felt right. I discussed with a couple of people. Obviously, Jamie was on the call, but lots of discussions with him. Discussed with my parents, my coach Emma, um, and then sort of got the contract. I only signed it about 4 weeks ago. Actually, it took quite a long time
Wow.
just because of like other legal issues they were having with other people's contracts in Movistar.
Oh
But
wow.
then I got a bike off them, a TT and a road bike just before, well, it's a couple of weeks, just actually European track champs a couple of weeks before that. Um, so sort of got used to them. And then I did a Nations Cup race in Spain just before Worlds. And the Movistar like HQ is quite near where I was racing. So,
Mm,
so I went to see that and got a bike fit on my TT bike and road bike and stuff. Met a
wow.
couple of staff, and so yeah.
Gosh. So does that mean, because obviously they've said you're officially joining them August next year as a stagiaire, and then moving up to racing like full time from 2025. Does that mean you're going to be on their kit though for the year? If you've already got a bike sorted and, set up for your position already,
Mm-hmm.
and things can change in, between now and next August, um, where they have to refit you almost.
Yeah, probably. If that happens, I probably won't be traveling up to Spain for a bike fit, but I can organise something locally or something. But yeah,
Wow, it's kind of crazy. So are you still in Shibden Hope colours for now and then Movistar when it's official?
yeah. So this year I'll be riding for Hope for on the cross bike, and then next year I'll be riding for Shibden Hope Tech Apex on the road.
Wow. And what's planned for next year on the road? Do you get to decide what you're racing? I assume with Shibden being your dad's team, like I assume you get a little bit of say. But is that calendar going to be designed with, are Movistar going to have any input into that? Or is it just going to be yourselves picking what you race?
So I would say probably Movistar won't have much input
Hmm.
until maybe August, because I might be able to do things with them after August. But obviously, Worlds is September next year, so probably not. Um, Early in the year, I think I'll probably go on some training camps in Movistar, which will
Okay.
be really good.
Yeah.
Um, and then in terms of sort of what I'm going to do next year, probably just similar to this year, the Nations Cups and things. But I'm doing my A levels next year, so sort of I'll be cutting out some of the races that are, not quite as big, so I can revise. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that mix. Like, how do you actually find that? Because like mixing school and cycling, like I mean A levels especially, like it feels like a full-time job at times. Like, or certainly when I look back at it, I was like, oh, this is like a full-time job. I mean, it probably
Mhm.
isn't compared to my actual full-time job, but
Yeah.
at the time it's quite a big burden and quite a huge time hole, if you will. And cycling, to be any good at it, is a huge burden and a bit of a time hole.
Mhm.
So how do you balance the two?
Yeah, I'd say you sort of just have to have a like get it done attitude. Like if you are traveling to a competition and it's, I don't know, in Belgium, you've got 8 hours in the car, you just have to accept the fact that you are going to have to do work in the car, and it's probably not going to be very nice. But that is the only time you have, and it is a lot of time. Like you can utilize travel time quite a lot, I think,
Hmm.
when you're not doing anything. So why not do schoolwork? So for me, I don't find it that bad. I sort of did alter my level choices. I would say I picked sort of easier, just one B Tech and two A levels. So it's a little bit easier. I don't have quite as much work as maybe others. But so far I've not found it awful. But I think a lot of people have told me that the worst is yet to come. So
Really, gosh, that's well, excited for that, clearly. Um, and yeah, just going back onto the Movistar topic, like, I guess, is there anyone you're excited to meet up with? Or yeah, what have they said about your plans? Obviously, we know you're signing and being a stagiaire from August. Like, have they said, oh yeah, we want you doing X, Y, and Z? Have they given you lots of details, or is it very much just, oh, we'll get you in, see what happens, you know?
yeah, I think for now it's quite calm. There's not really much expectation or anything they want me to do. But I'm definitely so excited to meet all the riders. Um, and obviously Annemieka's just retired. I'd have loved to have met her, but I think she's still going to be around, maybe come on some training camps and things. So excited to meet her and yeah, Liana and Emma. So yeah, really excited.
Oh, good. And yeah, how can people keep up with all your comings and goings? Find out how you're racing, things like that. Just as a little shout out for you at the end.
Yeah, I'd say probably follow me on Instagram. It's just Cat Ferguson, and then the zero is an O, just because someone stole my name, so I had to put that. But yeah, I post all my results on there or anything that I'm doing off the bike.
Nice. And all that's left for me to say is thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, that was an amazing chat. I hope you liked it as much as I did recording. As I said, she's super talented rider. Going to be joining Movistar in August of next year. As you have obviously just heard, um, it was great to get her on. All as a result of interviewing her best mate Imogen. So it's great having that. We're hoping to have another GB rider from the junior ranks stepping up to elite. And we're hoping to have them on soon. Um, Although I'm not going to provide too many details because I don't like talking about things that haven't been recorded yet, but keep an eye out for that